to the entertainer talking sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I am going to talk about one of the unexpected standouts from this New York Giants defense this year, and that being David Mayo. David Mayo's been in the league for a while. He was drafted, I think, in 2014 or 15, a former fifth-round pick, much like a Ryan Conley. When he was drafted, he was expected to be a special teams contributor in the NFL. And that's basically what the initial expectations were for Conley before we saw him play the first couple of weeks. And he played well. I think he created 2 turnovers in like 3 weeks. He was kind of all over the football field. And a lot of Giants fans were excited about Conley. And then, of course, he sustained that injury, and we hope he gets back to form next year. David Mayo really never got an opportunity to be a middle linebacker until this year in the NFL. He has most of his career tackles this year. He's been in the league for like 5 years. He obviously saw that opportunity due to the injuries, like guys like Conley, guys like Ogletree, guys going down, and David Mayo has stepped in, and his numbers have been very impressive. And when you see what PFF had to say about him yesterday, you might be a bit surprised. Now, of course, middle linebacker has been a huge weakness for the New York Giants since really Antonio Pierce. It's something I always talk about. It's something that I say Jerry Reese neglected, and it's something that I think the New York Giants definitely need to focus on. Whether it's in the draft, whether it's in free agency. There's a couple of middle linebackers I've talked about, Schobert being one of them, Littleton being another in free agency this year that I have suggested the Giants may be interested in going out and acquiring. Because Ogletree, I think, should be cut. I don't think he's gotten the job done. And by no means am I saying that David Mayo is a slam dunk long-term solution, much like a Caden Smith. But he is a player who has shown strengths. Now, I'm going to give my full opinion on this. I think his strengths, he is benefiting from the situation he's in, and I'm going to explain it in a second. But here is what PFF had to say, and I got this article off of Giants Wire, and this is first what they said. In New York, Mayo has experienced a breakout season, recording 48 tackles, 6 stuffs, 2 passes defended, and 1.5 sacks. All career highs. And while he, too, struggles against the pass, he has been stellar against the run. And here's what PFF had to say. David Mayo has struggled in coverage, but he's been elite at defending the run. His 90.7 run defense grade this season is second among 59 qualifying linebackers. So that's pretty encouraging, for a guy that was supposed to be a depth piece, for a guy that we brought on here to be a backup and to contribute to special teams. David Mayo, to be second in run defense at the middle linebacker position is pretty impressive. And I will say, you do see him hit the holes well. He has good anticipation skills, but he certainly struggles in coverage. Now, part of the reason why I think he's been as successful as he has against the run, or at least partially the reason, is because of how good of a defensive line we have. I don't think people realize Dexter Lawrence clogs the middle. Leonard Williams is very good at clogging the middle. Dalvin Tomlinson's been a standout all year. And that's a strength of the Giants. And it's why teams over the last 5 or 6 weeks have really struggled to run the football against us. And I think that is a major reason why Mayo has stood out. But it's certainly very encouraging for him to have that high of a grade. And maybe he could be at least a very good backup and maybe a guy you plug in there if we stay in the 3-4 to man the middle at an affordable rate. I still think regardless, we're going to need a veteran presence at the linebacker position next year. We have too many young players out there. We need a guy who's done it for a while, and I think that the Giants should go out there and get a guy if they can, unless they decide to stick with Ogletree. But Ogletree's been mediocre at best. He makes a lot of money, and he's getting up there in age. I want to move on from Ogletree. I would look for some of the guys that I mentioned earlier in the video to fill his void. But maybe Mayo could be that other guy, either him or Conley. I think they're very similar players, both fifth-round pick, both guys that lack athleticism, not great in coverage, but they're very good against the run. So some things you want to look at going forward, and maybe Mayo is that guy that will plug in the middle next season. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Encouraging things, though, for a guy that, barely was hanging on in the NFL to rank second in all of football against the run. I thought it was an interesting statistic that Giants PFF drew up, and one of the few bright spots on this defense this year. The front seven has been somewhat encouraging. It's been the secondary that really needs a lot of help. But if you can get a pass rusher, it's certainly going to help that secondary. And I expect them to try to attack a potential veteran corner in free agency. But maybe Mayo is that guy in the middle, next to whoever we bring in. Or, I can't see him going with both Conley and Mayo. I think you need an athletic linebacker if you stay in the 3-4. But we'll have to see what they decide to do this offseason. But just wanted to give Mayo some love as I read that. And I was a little encouraged by it and a bit surprised, to be honest. But as always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.